Hey, surprise, surprise, we are back. It's been 2 weeks off, but this is Sports Business Empire. We are back in business. I'm Denzel Snipes. This is Sean Russey, and we had to take a bit of a sabbatical because Sean is in the Florida area, and they have seen better times in the last couple of weeks. But glad to see you safe, brother. Glad to see you back and everything. Nothing ended up too bad your direction, did it?
No, not too bad. We really just dealt with a lot of wind. Thankfully, we dodged a lot of it. We have some friends in Tampa that just got power back today, so I think that's about a week without power.
Oh wow.
But
Okay.
yeah, so luckily we dodged it. So
How long were
thankfully,
you guys
hurricane
without
season's
power?
almost over. No, we actually didn't lose it at all, thankfully.
Okay, good. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, and yeah, everything's like you guys at least got a sunny day already, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, then, all right, good. So no hurricanes coming that way, at least not until next year sometime. But
yeah.
um,
Hopefully, hurricane season is over. It's enough of it.
yeah, I mean, back to back to back, that's crazy. But thank you all for tuning in. Those of us who are tuning in from Twitter. Also, we can be found on X and on YouTube as well. So we're going to actually take a trip back in history, infamous contracts in history. I'm thinking about making this kind of an every now and again thing, maybe a once a month thing. Is revisiting infamous contracts in history. But what we want to touch on real quick before Thursday Night Football gets on is the Bonilla Mets deal. So the deal itself. So basically, the Mets had bought out the remaining $5.9 million contract on Bonilla's uh, contract previously. Instead of paying them up front, they deferred the payments with an 8% interest rate until 2035. This is regarded at this time period. His agent was like regarded the best in history for this move, and still is considered a top 10 today for that. Every single year on July the 7th, I believe it is, he's paid his annual salary, and it's declared Bobby Bonilla Day. But Sean, take it away with more details about this ludicrous contract.
Yeah, no, like you said, so they bought it out, for the remaining 5.9, but what it ended up costing them over the life of this 36-year deferment was $29.8 million. I mean, but Bonilla is a thief at this point. he
Yeah,
hasn't played, he hasn't played baseball in, you know, 20 plus years now, and he's still getting 1.19 million every July, up to a total of 30. And if he's invested that 30 is probably 50, 60 million. Like it's crazy what he took the Mets for on that one. And then it,
yes,
like you said, at the time, that was kind of unknown to be done in that manner for that length of time. Um, a lot. I know at one point it got questioned because the Mets got caught off in the Madoff scandal, and everybody's like, "Well, what is that part of the Bonilla deferment? Does he still get?" But it's like the Mets are still on the hook, even though they got swindled like everybody else. But they're still on the hook for Bonilla's money. But yeah, it's funny to see some of these guys that we'll touch on a few others that haven't played in a long time, but to see him get 30 million over a 36-year period versus them just saying, "Hey, here's 6 million, we'll give it to you over 2 or 3 years."
yeah, that is it, and at an 8% interest rate as well. And let's see, and going back into so it actually set the tone for actually quite a few more. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, that was the wrong one. For more than a few actually deferred contracts in history. For example, former Baltimore Orioles slugger Chris Davis, he set to receive 14.8 million. Well, he received it last year, and another 56 million total through 2037. Take it away on that one.
Yeah, so I mean, 70 million through, I mean, you're talking that over 17 years. So, I mean, the math on that's obviously a lot higher than Bonilla's, but the Orioles, Chris Davis is an interesting story, right? He came out, he really struggled. Then all of a sudden, he's hitting 50 home runs for a few years, and then he kind of went back to what he was beforehand. And then they'd give him the massive contract because we had those 3 good seasons, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden they're on the hook. And this is another one that I just can't wrap my head around, especially with this day and age. You can kind of see it in Bonilla's day and age. There's less marketing dollars, less TV dollars. you got to spread it out a little bit more. Why the Orioles have decided to spread this out in the salary cap luxury tax era is kind of baffling. Like, just get this off your paybook or
Yeah,
your payroll. The fact that they're continuing, like I said, so 56 million over the next 14, 13 years. So you're on the hook for 5 to 6 a year. Like, it just, you would have think they wanted to do that quicker. But again, I also think Baltimore did it in a time where they didn't expect to all of a sudden be competing for playoff spots and possible World Series. I don't think they thought all their minor leaguers were going to click in the last couple seasons the way they have.
true.
Um, and I
And
think
not
that
to,
was part of the reasoning of them thinking, okay, we can extend this out because by the time we're actually good in 2027, 2028, it doesn't look so bad when we only owe them 30 over the next 10 years.
yeah, very true. I mean, nobody kind of foresaw that. Then also at the same time, well, nobody foresaw Chris Davis flaming out really neither. And that's not to say that he just went to like sucking or anything like that. It's just he just kind of went back to who he was. I mean, he
Below
had three.
200 and hitting 150 and striking out or hitting a home run.
Right. And so let's see, and more contracts here. Griffey Jr. is still receiving payments from the Cincinnati Reds. What was last a recent payment was in 2023 for 3.6 million. And
Yeah,
then
I
there's
think on the hook till 2030. That's another one. That one kind of makes sense. They got him late. They paid him a lot just because of who he was, which was more of a ticket sale move. I think towards the end of
right.
his contract there, kind of let him hang on and retire where his dad kind of played. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a Mariner to everybody, I believe, but he finished off there. And it's just one of those things where it's a smart move for Griffey, right? Because I know he does the sports broadcasting now, but 3.6 million till 2030, not a bad deal.
Yeah. No, not at all. And then also other ones. Let's see. John Lester is on the list. So is Manny Ramirez.
And
Dustin
Ramirez is
Pedroia.
going to be on there for about 20 years. His payment is about 50 million from the Red Sox. It's absolutely crazy how much money the Red Sox are probably paying guys. The top three guys on the list are Red Sox.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Lester, Ramirez, Pedroia. Wow, that's crazy. Soriano's on the list. He's on Washington's on the hook for him. Ryan Braun, Todd Helton. Let's see who else. Bonilla himself. Darren O'Day from Baltimore. Bobby Bonilla, Baltimore also. Lorenzo Kane. Well, no, Bonilla was just Mets. Lorenzo Kane, Milwaukee. Brett Saberhagen, Mets. Saberhagen. I think the last time that dude even. I remember having his baseball card, man. That's insane. And
Yeah,
Vinny Castilla of Colorado. Yeah, these and then the king, the monster of all deferred pay. Bobby Bonilla is the most infamous, right? But the
yeah,
king of them is Shohei Otani himself.
yeah, yeah. If he, God forbid, anything happens here, he has the record waiting in waiting.
Yes, yes, he does. Because his is 10 years, $700 million.
Yeah, yeah, and you imagine just if they need to come to some sort of buyout and they have to extend that even further.
Yeah, I know that would be crazy. But a few more before we wrap up here is oh yeah, some basketball examples on here. Care to go into what Garnett's consisted of?
Yeah, so Garnett, the Celtics are on the hook for him. His last year actually getting paid will be this year. His deal was set up so he'd receive 35 million over the last 7 years of retirement, which he retired in 2016. Now
Uh
Chris
huh.
Bosh is an interesting example, right? Because we know Chris Bosh retired because of health, but because of how NBA contracts are set up, it's guaranteed. The Heat
Guaranteed.
are still on the hook for that 52 million. So they paying him about 8.6 million every year until that's paid off. Other examples: Monte Ellis going to the Pacers late in his career. They're now paying him 11 million over 5 years, starting in 2021. Joakim Noah to the Knicks, kind of same thing, kind of late, overpaid him. Now they're on the hook 4 years, over a total of 37 million, so almost 10 a year for Noah. And then one of the older ones, not a big number, but one of the ones that people probably don't remember. And there were some questions as to why Hakeem didn't hang it up for 3 years. In the NBA, as long as you don't file your paperwork, you're technically still on the payroll. So
Yes.
Hakeem didn't file his paperwork, but stayed away from the Raptors for 2 years and made $12 million.
Yeah, that is true because I think he actually officially filed his paperwork in 2004 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, he was done after his first. I think I can't remember if he played his first full season in the Raptors or didn't make it through, but he was like, guys, I'm done. The Raptors were horrible at that point.
Yeah,
He was like,
he
I'm
didn't
finished.
even play a
They
full
had just
season.
lost Vince. They were going downhill.
Yeah, pretty much. And he got saddled with a back injury when instead of getting the surgery to correct it, which would sideline him from the season, he just opted to retire.
No, and I think it was, not to get too far off, but I think it was a reach by the Raptors going, maybe this keeps Vince here. But at that point, Hakeem was old. He had won his two championships. He was kind of getting in the yesteryear at that point. I think it was more of a reach on their part, and it backfired. It cost them $12 million.
Yeah, yep, it sure did. Well, thanks a lot for everybody for joining. And again, I know I'm gonna try and make this a once a month thing because we all have come across some pretty interesting to try not to use a colorful word here contracts in the histories of sports. My Texans paying Brock Osweiler comes to mind. I'm sure we'll visit that one. And just other different ones along the way. But but hey, Sean, great to have you back. Everything's back up and running and normal. And next week we're gonna have some more heat for everybody. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Sports Business Insider. We will see you all next week.